Just finished Adam Eve, and I've got to say, I don't think going into this, I thought it was going to be nearly as good as it was. I enjoyed it like more than I imagined that I would, and I don't know why. I don't know why I even went in with those lowered expectations because I love the Invincible series. I've done videos about it before. I did my reaction to the first and final episode. Um, Such a fantastic adaptation of the Invincible comic book. And of course it is, right? Of course it is. Um, like what phenomenal source material to work from. I didn't expect this prequel to come out, this origin story. But I'm so glad it exists because it really was going right back into that Invincible world, very similar feel, and it's kind of interesting because it's kind of like the first episode of Invincible where you're not sure how violent and how crazy it's gonna get. It starts out, kind of bland in terms of like violence and cursing and gore and stuff like that. It ramps up slowly, and that's kind of what the Invincible series, that first episode, did. Where you're like, oh, the animation kind of tricks you into believing this really is kind of for kids, but it absolutely is not. And this proved, just like Invincible proved, about halfway through the episode, that it was going to get really real. And by the end of the episode, you're like, okay, yeah, this is this is the same world, 100%. And I didn't know that I wanted Adam Eve's origin story, but I'm glad I got it. I didn't know it, and I rather enjoyed her origin story. It actually hit some emotional beats that I didn't expect it to hit. Just this kind of like dueling set of feelings that she has about where she comes from once she figures it out. Like at first she doesn't know at all. She's treated like a freak. She's treated like an outcast. Even her parents treat her like she's a weirdo. Her dad calls her a weirdo all the time. And then so then she's like, man, she feels really just like out of place, doesn't fit in anywhere. Then she develops these powers. Like, man, you feel really bad for her, but then at the same time, you're like, the parents have no idea either. They think this is their daughter. They have no idea that they've unwittingly adopted someone, and a government experiment, no less. But for her to find out then that she is adopted and that her mother, was part of these experiments, and this scientist oversaw everything and almost felt like a father figure to her. It was just really, it was so back and forth with the feelings in this episode, right? The emotions that you go through are like the emotions that the character goes through. It's first you're happy that she's going to have a family, right? Then you're upset because of just how she's treated, not only by students and peers, but by her own family, by her own parents. And as an only child, it's like, man, like that's all you have is your parents. And her idea of how the world sees her is how her parents see her, and her parents see her like she's a fucking freak, right? Um, and that's even before they know that she has any kind of powers. Like they just think she's really smart. And why would you treat a really smart kid like there was something wrong with them? I don't know. But clearly she's some sort of genius is what it appears. And they treat her like there's something wrong with that. Because she's not as sociable as most of the kids, or thinks differently than other kids. It's quite odd the way that they take it. But for her to then find out like, oh, she has a different origin. These aren't her parents, and it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense that these are not her parents, and that's what happened here. You kind of get this feeling of relief for her, like, oh, at least it's not like there's really something wrong with me, or like these are my real parents. Like clearly there's a disconnect because this is not where I actually come from. But then you get even more sad finding out that her mother is deceased, and then you find out maybe she's not fully deceased. Like what a crazy roller coaster of emotions. And with that the final couple scenes, discovering what she discovers in the lab, and she goes at the end of the kind of lab battle. She really kind of goes full Dark Phoenix, Jean Grey, right? I thought that was crazy. I didn't even know she had the power to do what she did in like the mind wipe thing. But that was pretty epic. That was pretty epic. I loved it, and I especially loved the showdown that she had with her would-be siblings. See that, and that's another thing. It's like every time she finds out she has someone else out there, she's forced to part ways with that someone or something else, and it's just so sad. Like I said, it's back and forth. It's like, oh, she has a connection to someone. Oh, they're out to kill her. Oh, she has these aren't her real parents, but her real parents aren't around. And so it's just great storytelling. Like, she is a complex character. She really is. And you don't expect that. Well, at least, I would say the general public doesn't expect that from comic book characters. Definitely not from animated characters, right? Unless maybe in like anime, maybe in something more adult. But looking at this from the outset, if you just saw the animation alone, you would never think that the storylines and characters would be so complex. And they just did a wonderful job with this Adam Eve origin story. And even a little peek into, where Invincible was at that point in his life, which is just a couple years earlier, and he's in a wildly different place in terms of self-discovery, and it was fun to see that little part. But yeah, just what a heart-wrenching but awesome origin story for this character. It's like, I don't know, I didn't care as much about her in the series when I watched Invincible, but now I'm like really invested in this character. They did a wonderful job with this, and I'm glad they did it, and I hope we get more. I hope we get more of these kind of prequel origin stories for different characters. That would be awesome, but I don't know how they're going to top this one, because this is really great, really complex emotions, ups and downs, and all within an hour. So good. So good. Yeah. I can't wait for Invincible season 2. It sounds like we're gonna get 4 episodes dropped later this year. I think they said November, and then the other 4 episodes, the second half of this next season, is up in the air. So they've said that it may not come out. I don't know. It's delayed inevitably, right? It's up to the, I don't know, the writer's strike, maybe, because I know that the animation writers are separate from the Writers Guild. But there may be something else involved here. So because it's from a comic book, I'm not sure of all the particulars of it. I just know that the first half of the season seems to be done and ready to go. The second half of the season, maybe it's the animators. I'm not sure exactly what it is. Maybe it's the actors. Maybe it's because a lot of the voice actors in here are screen actors. So maybe that's why. Maybe that is why it will be delayed. But we are getting the first half, at least, of season 2 coming up at the end of this year, and I cannot wait. It looks incredible. Anyway, if you enjoyed this little talk about Adam Eve and Invincible, you enjoy this sort of thing where, I talk about entertainment, pop culture, that sort of thing, then please subscribe to the channel, or favorite or follow Daily BS Podcast. Check out my Marvel podcast if you're interested in the in coverage of the Marvel Disney Plus TV series or the MCU films, any of that sort of thing. Go check out Marvel Plus anywhere you get your podcast. And yeah, if you do decide to stick around and favorite, follow, or subscribe to any of those things that I mentioned, then I will talk to you again real soon. Thanks.